The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he finds a pearl of great price, he goes and sells all that he has and buys it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net thrown into the sea, which collects fish of every kind. When it is full, they haul it ashore and sit down to put what is good into buckets. What is bad, they throw away. Thus it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Do you understand all these things?" They answered, "Yes." And he replied, "Then every scribe who has been instructed in the kingdom of heaven is like the head of a household who brings from his storeroom both the new and the old." The Gospel, the Lord.
I don't know if you recognize anything different in the church today from a normal Saturday or Sunday, but we have our pillar candles lit. That's because we're celebrating the 23rd anniversary of the dedication of Good Shepherd. So congratulations, everybody. Happy anniversary. Now, most of the chapter of Matthew, the 13th chapter of Matthew that we hear, has been filled with a number of parables from Jesus. Parables are set into contrast the way the Pharisees taught. The Pharisees taught in rules and regulations, and Jesus was talking about what God wanted in stories that people could relate to. And as I looked at these parables, I get the message of it. I understand what Jesus is trying to say, but they don't always hit me like they would have hit the people of his time. For example, finding a pearl of great value. I get the idea that they're expensive, but I'm not going to go looking for one. And so I tried to think to myself, how could I change this parable into something that would relate to me? And I thought about my life in the grocery store. Near the holidays like Halloween or Christmas, and by the way, it's 152 days to Christmas, just for those of you who are counting, the store would order a lot of candy for those events. And after those events were sold, they would mark that candy down half price. Well, we realized as employees of the store that sometimes the candy we liked would sell out real quickly. And so what we decided to do was every time those displays went up, we would take our grocery bags, load it up with all the candy that we wanted, and take it to the back room. And then the day after the holiday, when it was marked down, we would bring it out and get all that candy for half price. Okay? Now, evidently, our management found out what we were doing, and we got a memo that said, "You can't do that anymore." I was heartbroken. But I wasn't going to let that affect what I wanted. And I wasn't about to get fired for doing something that the management said not to do. So being a good Catholic, I rationalized. What I did was I found those 6 packages of either the Musketeer bars or the Reese's peanut butter cups that are in those different shapes. And I took them and I went down the vegetable aisle to the top shelf and I placed them behind the slow-moving lima beans. So I didn't put them in the back room where I was told I couldn't, but I left them on the shelf, but they were hidden. And then the day after that holiday, and they were marked down, I got my candy for half off. It shows now. Back then, not so much. The moral of that is the things we do to get the things we want. And that's what those parables were about that Jesus was telling us. He talks about the man who found the treasure, worked hard to purchase that field so he could have that treasure. It's about the sacrifice we do to get what we want. Jesus lets us know that the kingdom of God needs to be worked for. We can't just assume or presume that's where we're going. We need to work hard for it. In order to possess the kingdom of heaven, we need to let go of those things that possess us. Now, easy to say, but I know a lot of us want to have it all. We want to live our life our way and have heaven too. And it doesn't work that way. A disciple of Jesus needs to sacrifice. We need to give of our time, our talents, our treasures to others. That's what those parables are mainly about. But there's a second point to them as well. The second thing is to remind ourselves there is a judgment. That God is going to judge us by what we do and what we don't do. Most of us have that sin of presumption, and we're going to die and everyone's just going to go to heaven. Jesus doesn't say that. He says there's 2 places we could end up. And I guess I just want to invite you to ask yourself, which one are you working for? You're working for to get to the one that's up there, or working towards the other one? By the way we live our lives, by the things we do, we are going to be judged on those actions. I've told you how in the grocery store I did everything I could to get those peanut butter cups or those 3 Musketeer bars. The more important thing is what Jesus is doing is, what are we willing to let go of to do the things that he asks of us? To remind us that he expects us to be of service to others and that there are consequences for both our actions and our inactions.